Let's get to noted lawyer Lynn Wood. He's been right in the middle of this. Lynn, sorry for the wait. Thank you for your patience. Happy New Year, and thanks for being with us, Lynn.
Well, thank you, John, and Happy New Year to you.
Lynn,
I hope the new year gets the country going in a different direction. We've had a tough 2020.
Lynn, we have, and I think 2021 is going to be much different. I'm really optimistic. I know you saw the hearing yesterday. You've been at the forefront of this. You got a bunch of lawsuits that still haven't seen the light of day. The hearing yesterday, I couldn't believe it. You got machines getting hacked into live while they're in a hearing and not covered by anybody. Then you got Jeff Duncan, the lieutenant governor, running to Fox News saying Trump lost because people don't like his tweets and the election was fine, and they got all this evidence mounting. What is going on here, Lynn?
To address Jeff Duncan quickly, I can tell you that Jeff Duncan is a liar, and he is corrupted by globalist and communist China money. Look at his finances and study his history of donations. What's happening in Georgia right now is that we have a state of lawlessness. And I say that because there are no government officials in this state. The governor, the lieutenant governor, the secretary of state, and the attorney general. They are not enforcing the rule of law. Millions of Georgians simply want to see the rules followed. They want the law to be followed. Then we'll decide based on a legal election and an honest election who won. I think it's clear that Donald Trump won in a landslide in Georgia and across the nation. But what we have is citizens that have been abandoned by their leadership in government, that have decided not to enforce the rule of law for their own personal greed, for their own money, for their own agendas. They don't care about the citizens of this state. And I think it's time that somebody come into this state and reestablish some order so that the citizens of Georgia, with respect to this vote, can know that they had a lawful, honest election. They need to fix the November 3 election. They need to fix the Senate runoff. We don't know who deserved to be in that runoff because the contestants came out of an illegal election. Maybe they were hand-chosen by the people that cheated. Maybe Kelly Loeffler is more of a friend to the other side than she really is a Republican. I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't think the people of this state like it. And our administration in Georgia has forgotten that they work for us, we the people. They need to be reminded in the most forceful of ways. We ought to circle the governor's house. We ought to circle the state capitol. And we ought to demand that something be done and give us an honest election like they did in Iraq.
Well, they certainly have deputies be able to come in, the GBI be able to come in and supervise this.
Listen, John, you can't trust the GBI.
Well,
as fine an organization as the GBI has been historically, it's now being run by a man named Vic Reynolds. He's a hand-picked boy of Brian Kemp. And so he only does what Brian Kemp tells him. He doesn't investigate and follow the law as he's required to do as director of the GBI. Where's the investigation on that young boy's death down in South Georgia who was the Kelly Loeffler staffer and the boyfriend of Kemp's daughter? Anybody heard about that? Media writing about that? GBI doing anything about that? I'm not even sure many people know that the GBI agent who was assigned to that investigation within a matter of days came up dead with claims of suicide in Metter, Georgia. The people of this state are angry. They have the right to be angry. They have the right to demand answers. They have the right to demand action. The time is now, and I believe that we, the people, are going to do so.
Give us an update. We're with Lynn Wood, noted lawyer in Georgia, and everybody knows him from Centennial Park and from the young fella he defended against the Washington Post and those allegations. Tell us about the status of the filings you've made in Georgia court. When are you going to get a hearing?
Well, I'm at the mercy of the Supreme Court. And while I would normally feel secure at the highest court in our land, these days I don't know who to trust.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we the people know who to trust.
Mm-hmm.
I have watched judge after judge in the lower courts and in the appellate courts rule against any effort to look at the fraud in this election. And the evidence that's been brought before those judges has been voluminous.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even mention it. Mm-hmm. It's like they all are writing off the same script.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are. I think that the Communist Party has infiltrated our government at every level, and I believe that includes our judiciary. I know for a fact that the CIA has for years run a program called Sunset, an illegal program that surveils Title III judges, district court judges and appellate court judges. Mm-hmm. They get the dirt on them. They then use it to try to force them to rule the way they want them to rule. Mm-hmm. The level of illegality, the level of evil that exists in our country right now will shock the public when it's all revealed.
Well,
but that program alone tells me why we've got problems in our Title III judges.
Lynn, that started to happen yesterday at this hearing. Let me just ask you something. How long have you been practicing law?
43 years.
Okay.
43 and a half years.
In 43 and a half years practicing law, and you're an internationally famous attorney across the globe. In 43 years, have you ever been stonewalled by judges to the extent you've been in the past 75 days?
Never.
That's my
and
point.
I've seen other people stonewalled in a similar fashion. I've never seen anything like it. But it's the reality this country faces, and we the people have got to decide whether we're going to sit idly by and allow these crooks and these globalists and these communist sympathizers to take our country straight into tyranny, to be ruled formally by communist China. We pretty much had our country, the control of our country, taken over by the communist China without firing a shot. That's what communism says it will do.
Well, that's what they're well on the way to doing it. I mean, it's just to me the fact that they've not that a single court has not taken up your case, any of your cases that you filed. Just get a hearing, just present the evidence, and then they can then they go ahead and rule. I mean, after 43 and a half years of practicing law, this is. You've never experienced this. All right, I'm going to open the phone lines up. I got a lot of people want to talk to you, Lynn Wood. You are famous, so you got to deal with that. Let's go to line 4, and we've got Mark in Cumming, Georgia. Mark, you're on with the Lynn Wood Live.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, Mark. Go ahead.
Hey, John. I wanted to chat with Lynn a bit. Hey, Lynn, your reputation and your success as a brilliant lawyer speaks for itself. I went to your rally a few weeks back in Alpharetta, and I was equally impressed by your patriotism and fervor and love for this country. I know you're a man of action, but I have a question about your tactics as of late. On Twitter, you've been essentially calling or saying that Kemp is hiding in Athens because he's fear the military is going to come in for treason. You're talking about how Meadows might be corrupted by the Chinese, and Eric Erickson might be a communist, and John Roberts may have had his adoption of his 2 kids facilitated by Epstein. I respect you immensely, but you have a following on Twitter of 893,000, I just checked. Why don't you do something, and this is just a suggestion, why don't you use your immense platform to put the numbers of all the state senators like John has that haven't signed this petition? Because your army of digital soldiers and supporters, I'm sure, would blow up the phone lines. That seems to be more productive than calling Eric Erickson a communist.
I don't disagree with your suggestion, and I will take it to heart, and I'll post those numbers. But let me say this about Eric Erickson and Mark Meadows and John Roberts.
When you there?
Yeah,
yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
I said I take your suggestion to heart. I'll look at putting those numbers on my Twitter page.
Okay.
I believe other people have been doing so. But let me say this to you. It's been painful to have to reveal a lot of truth about the people that run this country. I've taken a lot of flack. Now my reputation's being sullied. I don't care. This is about our country. They're attacking me because they can't attack my message, so they attack the messenger. They distort my career. They misrepresent my intentions. Mark Meadows is a liar. I'm going to be tweeting about him today. I tweeted about Dan Crenshaw last night. Dan Crenshaw is a liar. The Chief Justice is what the Chief Justice is. I've made serious accusations involving pedophilia and involving his involvement in selecting a successor to Justice Scalia before Justice Scalia died suddenly. I don't make these accusations without evidence. I'm a lawyer that deals in defamation. I have reliable information, and the public, as much as they hate to hear it, as distasteful as it is, this country needs a huge dose of truth, so we'll know the people that are governing us are not worthy of the roles that they hold.
I've asked noted lawyer from Georgia, Lynn Wood, to come back. We had a caller at the end. We ran out of time, had to get the top of the hour news, and I wanted to give Lynn a chance to respond to that and go further with our conversation. So, Lynn, sorry about having to cut you off at the top of the hour. Now that we have you back, you, sir, have the floor.
Well, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Listen, the caller made a good point about getting these names up for the Georgia senators. But I thought it was a little bit of an unfair shot to criticize me for exposing the truth about a number of our high officials, both in Georgia and in the nation. I'm a defamation lawyer. I would not make statements about any person without a reliable source or sources. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for this country not only to take action with the senators, the legislators, but I think it's very important for this country to know the truth about who they're dealing with in Atlanta under the dome and in Washington, D.C., including people close to the president in the White House. When I've said to you before that communism has taken over control of this country without firing a shot, I think every American would want to know who's on our side, who's on their side. Mm-hmm. So I have been working with the legislators for 2 months. Mm-hmm. I've been filing lawsuits on my own for 2 months. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of tweeting to try to give information to people for 2 months. I've tried to finance on my own a team of investigators, IT, security people, to try to get information, to get the truth to the American people. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind taking the hits because, as I said, if you can't attack the message, attack the messenger. I knew when I went into this that I would be attacked. So I'm not thin-skinned. I just want the opportunity for your listeners to know I'm one man. I'm doing everything I can, almost 20 hours a day for the last 2 months, to try to help this country keep its freedom. Mm-hmm. And when people attack me, that's fine if that's what they choose to do. But I would say, what are they doing? What efforts have they made? Are they simply tearing down the individual who's trying to do things for the good of the country? Mm-hmm. Are they doing something themselves to protect their own freedom? Mm-hmm. That's my point.
Well, I think it's a good one. And it started with the hit piece on you from Breitbart News, which I no longer read, to be honest with you, sir. After they did that, came straight from Mitch McConnell's office. It was written by them. Once Breitbart did that, I was done. I'll never read them again. I thought that was unfair, and they never even got comment from you on it, and it was utter nonsense. But you're right. I mean, when you're exposing things, obviously in the business you're in, you know this better than anybody. They don't like the message; they go after the messenger, and I think that's the situation you're in right now. But
when I made my statements about Justice Roberts, I mean this man has the most powerful position in our country, the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Does anyone think that I would make those types of statements lightly? But it's easier just to attack me.
Mm-hmm.
That way you avoid having to reveal the truth.